The boys
are back.
Welcome to the boys
The podcast.
with the boys.
Let's be great. What's up?
I'm trying to be great right now.
I'm trying to be great. Right now, and right now, and right now, and every second of the freaking day.
Yeah. Dude, today I was reading The Obstacle is the Way. Have you ever read that?
No.
So it's by... Who's this by? It's by Ryan Holiday. But the last chapter, he talks about Marcus Aurelius being great, basically, and how Marcus Aurelius had this huge kingdom, and then one of his good friends rebelled, and instead of going out and just a lot of the senators and people were just like, dude, just go take him out, go kill him, and be done with it. Wipe him out, wipe out all of his. The people that are helping him out and whatnot. Yeah. And he goes, no. Like he just messed up. Like he doesn't really know what he's doing. And so he basically decided that he would go and reclaim the land that this guy had taken from him and the people that he had overthrown and whatnot. And he wouldn't punish him. He would just forgive him. Nice. Turns out this guy gets assassinated 3 months later. And he never got to do that, but he still went back. Marcus still went back and practiced forgiveness instead of practicing just overthrowing and taking over. That's greatness.
Wow. That is greatness. And we were wired to love, and pain takes that away from us, and that is what causes arguments, and that is what causes war.
Yeah. You want to hear – so – That's so true, but can pain be a motivator?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean, I've never used it, but you hear no pain, no gain. But that in the gym, it's not really. It shouldn't be painful. It should be hard. For me, that's not considered pain for me. It's just pushing myself to a limit. Pain means ouch, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I can't really relate with that.
Well, because there was this kid, so I'm working with this 9-year-old, and he was telling me about how he doesn't like being yelled at, first of all, but that's why he plays better. He goes, I play better and I listen to my coach when he yells at me so that I never do that again. So he's like, I don't like being yelled at. It's a negative reinforcement for him. It's or a negative motivator for him. It's motivating him, but in my opinion, the wrong way.
Yeah.
Now he's afraid of being yelled at. But so after I have this conversation with him, breaking down how leaders aren't yellers, or, sometimes maybe you do have to yell as a leader, but just because you're yelling doesn't make you a leader. And that's what he had associated leadership with, because he sees his coaches yelling and he's like, yeah, so if you want to be a leader, you have to yell. And so he didn't tell me this, but then I talked to his parents afterward, and I guess at one of his games, this kid on his team didn't mark the defense or didn't mark the offensive guy coming down the line. And in soccer, the other team was dribbling it down the line. He was supposed to go and mark him, missed his marking, and the kid wound up scoring on the person, the little 9-year-old that I'm working with. Gotcha. And I guess he yelled at that kid. He yelled at his teammate saying, hey, you need to, mark him up better, except he yelled at him. Yeah. And so to me, when I hear him that he just did that after we had this conversation about how yelling makes you a leader and how, if a coach yells at him, he never wants to do it again, or he'll do it the right way from then on in the future. That was his way of seeing, okay, here's what's happening to me from the outside world. This is my perception of leadership. This is my perception of yelling. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to do that same thing to other kids. And what's funny is that he told me that yelling, I said, does yelling help you make friends, or does yelling help you be a good teammate, or does yelling help you be a bad teammate? He goes, well, if someone yelled at me, I wouldn't want to be their friend.
Wow.
And I didn't even know that he actually yelled at somebody else. So I probably would have asked him a couple more questions. But I think we'll see, after next week, or he has a couple more games. So I'll talk to him and his parents again and see what's going on with the yelling.
Interesting.
Isn't it though? And he was talking about how he doesn't even want to play basketball this year because his basketball coach from last year yelled at him. He's like, I don't want to be yelled at anymore. And then I get on the phone with his dad, and his dad says that he was actually looking at different teams because he didn't like how the coach was coaching his kid.
Have you seen I'm just trying to, because people, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people yell differently. Have you seen it happen to that kid, and like what tone makes him uncomfortable?
No, I've not. I have not. But the way he's talking about it, I don't think it really matters.
Does it come from a place where he just doesn't like criticism in general?
No, because I asked him, I said, what's a way that you could be, because we said, does yelling help you as a leader or hurt you as a leader? He goes, yelling hurts you as a leader unless you're trying to like push somebody to be better. So he is okay with the yelling or the criticism of like, hey, come on, get back on defense.
Cool.
But then when it comes to like skill acquisition,
what are you doing?
Exactly. Like he doesn't like that yelling.
Who does?
Nobody. But so I asked him, I said, can you go up to your coach and like ask him to tell you what you did wrong without yelling? And he goes, no, if I ask them not to yell, that'll make them even more mad.
Interesting. That's something to think about.
It is interesting. So we just kept breaking down like what yelling is and how to be a leader, and it came down to there were two things that we got out of this conversation, and now they might not seem very intertwined at first, but the one was you're either a doer or a don'ter, and so there's no such thing as trying, right? You're either a doer or a don'ter. The doers do and the don'ters don't. And then the second thing was, is he going to train himself to go all out or train himself to hold back? Because he wants to go all out, but like in some of his games, he gets tired. And so what's he talking to himself then? Is he letting in the criticism of the yelling of the coach, or is he talking to himself, hey, go all out, keep going all out, keep going all out? Or is he telling himself, you're tired, like you don't have to go all out anymore?
So he's got to change his perspective on what he sees with yelling. If it's coming from a place for love from the coach, then that's awesome, I think. But it's still, I don't know. I haven't responded well from what I can remember in sports from when coaches would yell. But I mean, it's baseball, especially. It's such a reactive sport. So you can't really, especially coaches, they don't really take time to take a step back and think about what they're about to say. It's kind of just flows, and it comes from a place of wanting to help you. But in that moment, it seems like they're talking down on you for sure.
And also, I think coaches yelling anyway, sometimes, it just needs to happen. I think there is a time and a place, but I think a lot of yelling comes from frustration with themselves.
Yeah.
Like they didn't teach the drill well enough, or they didn't put in the day-to-day work enough so that when they got to the game and the kids underperformed, they were like, oh man, like it's not that my kids underperformed, it's that I didn't train them properly. So like now I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to resort to yelling.
Wow, that's cool. I definitely could see that. And what coach is going to admit that to their players?
No, no one.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, the coaches might not even know it. You know,
Well, that's true.
they
Yeah.
might not even understand that it's like you have to be trained to perform well in that game.
Mm,
Like that's why colleges have a fall ball schedule and then they have a winter schedule and then they start playing.
yeah.
And it all relates back to what are you doing all of those practice days to play that one game when you get tested, when you finally get tested. Just like with like us, these podcasts, a lot of them go back to what are you doing daily to build your mindset so that when something actually bad happens,
Yeah.
you're mentally strong enough and
Mm.
prepared to deal with it.
And I just had a cool thought come to me with that preparation for college baseball, and they get to that game. I feel as if it's easier for the coach not to yell when he knows how hard they put in the work and he took the right steps. So it would come from a real loving place. Sure, there's still frustration, but it wouldn't be perceived in a way where it's like judgmental and the
Mm-hmm.
player is like, dang, he thinks I suck. It's like,
Yeah.
no, we both agree that we equally put our 100% effort. It was just a mess up, and this is what you need to do next time or whatever. It would
Or
be a lot
like
more calm.
they just played better.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like sometimes, especially in baseball, it's not the best team doesn't always win. It's the team that plays the best that day.
Mm. Wow.
So just like you can go out there and you can like what's your max bench right now?
I don't even know. I just must mind the muscle connection. I don't
All
try to.
right, I just saw you squatting 405. One day you can go out there and have a good day, and 405 might feel like perceived rate of exertion could be like a 3, and then another day you go out there and you throw 405 on the bar and it's a perceived rate exertion of like not a 9
Yeah.
or something like that.
There's been times where 225 feels like it's 700 pounds. I'm like,
Yes.
not today.
So it's not about like necessarily who can lift the most when it comes to sports. It's like who can lift the most consistently.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, or like when you go to a meet, especially lifting, you know, like, are you going to have a good day that day?
Well, and the day is. I mean, I have a lot of powerlifter friends, but that day is so long.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one lift, and then you got to wait for the next lift, and there's just so many people going that there's a lot of waiting around, and your body's getting stiff.
Mm-hmm.
It's an entire day, so I can't even imagine. I can't imagine like if you go in that morning with a with a bad day, it's just it's so long that it'd just be like a pile effect. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, what is happening?
But that's kind of where like I mean, you're getting into it even more and more from what I see, but like that's where my job comes into play is like, okay, now how do I get these kids to focus? How do we train focus? How do we train attitude? How do we train
Yeah.
energy so that
Yeah.
they're showing up to the ballpark consistently? Because like it doesn't matter if you can go out there and like hit. You can have a great day hitting, right? But it doesn't matter if you go 4 for 4 one day if you're going 0 for 4 3 other days,
Yeah.
right? Like it's all about consistency.
Well, and I mean, I know you do this, but there has to be, yeah, you have to talk to them in a way where they're doing things on their own at home. Like when I stood up at play ball and talked to them, I said, you want to like, it's good to set massive goals, but if you want to get your mind addicted to setting goals, so those massive goals feel like it will be nothing for you, then start setting goals every single day, like 5 daily goals that you can accomplish, and do that for months on end, just 5 little tasks every day, and get your mind shaped into addicted to setting goals. So it's just little things like that. That'll keep your energy up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps my energy up.
Yeah, and in sports, I talk about having a daily focus at practice, kind of
Cool.
like how you set intentions for yoga,
Mm,
right? Like having a focus for practice. Okay, today I'm really gonna just focus on keeping my hands inside the ball.
Cool.
Today I'm really going to focus on bringing the juice to everybody on the team. Like that
What
sort of
does juice
stuff.
stand for? Say it again.
Jacked up, insane, contagious energy.
Whoa! I love hearing that.
Bring the juice.
Bring
If you're
the
juiceful, you're useful.
freaking juice. Dang, I love that. You're juiceful, you're useful. I love that.
So
Um,
yeah, man.
what was
That's where I'm at today right now though.
That's cool. I'm at a point where I was thinking, I was watching this movie called The Shack, and it's a religious movie. It's unbelievable, so powerful. I cried for the full 2 hours. But in the movie, there's a point where the guy is speaking with God, and they're in the garden, and God was like, "Don't touch that vine; it'll kill you." And he goes, "Why is there poison in your garden? I thought you were all good, like all good things come from you and no bad." And God goes, your belief is that poison is bad. And God takes the poison and combines it with a stem, and it makes like this beautiful healing oil. So it's crazy. That came to me, and it's like society and just the way our human nature is, we put ourselves in God's shoes, and we're the judges. We judge people on based on what they wear. We judge people on based on how they walk, their body language. We are always judging people and judging things and saying we hate this and hate this. But for me, especially, I mean, follower of Jesus and lover of God, it's like all good things come from Him. So the minute we judge or hate, we're immediately putting ourselves in His shoes and pretty much saying, well, I'm God, and this is what's good and this is what's bad. So that's where I'm at today.
So what does that mean exactly?
I just it makes things more clear for me, and why I'm trying to do the YouTube channel and podcast, and why my favorite word is love. It's because all good things come from Him, and all things can work together to create something beautiful. And it starts with people, and that's why I try to just love as much as I can. And when people attack me, knowing that it's probably coming from a really dark place, and you just got to walk with grace and love and know that that is coming from a dark place, and try to speak in a way where you're not making them feel worse on what they feel on the inside, but knowing that we all struggle, and kind of just pick them up or talk in a way that makes them think and make them realize that we're in this
Mm-hmm.
together.
Yeah. So when he says that guy finds that vine or that poison, and he says, "Oh, why would you make poison if it's bad?" You know.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then he combines it with he combines it with the stem, and it creates this beautiful healing oil
Well,
or healing ointment, whatever it
yep,
is.
yep.
And so with hate, if hate is bad and love is good, then when can hate be good and when can love be bad? If like hate is poison, what can it be combined with to make it into something that's not bad?
So from my experience, and something, because I did think about that, and God did not intend for hate to be in the world, but through hate can become this insane blossom effect. Because when people hate, especially if they show hate towards me or anyone who is strong in their beliefs and strong in their faith, to know that we all struggle, and know that if hate is being welcomed into the world, it's by someone or by anything, it's usually coming from such a deep place of hurt, and it's not from a past experience maybe that they haven't let go of. So the reason hate can create this blossom effect, where if someone were to show hate on me, it's like, how can I respond in a way that shows God's love and shows God's grace, so they're able to go home and realize and find the source of that hate and be able to change it. Because if no one is in front of them making them realize that that is hate and that is a negative force, then how are they ever gonna be able to think through that? And no one wants to have a hateful heart. No one wants to speak hate. It's just not human nature. People say I don't know if people say they want to just be a hateful person and wake up and be like, I just want to hate everyone today. I can't see that. Maybe there are people out there like that. Um, but I don't believe that everyone just wants to hate. I think it comes from a place that is so hurtful from past experiences in life. And that's why people need to respond in a loving way to just talk with them and make them realize that we all struggle and work through that so it can have the ability to change. So I think that hate is bad, but it can also turn into this amazing blossom effect and have the ability to change into something so beautiful and powerful.
Hmm.
If that made any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it did to me. Basically, what I heard you say is that, like, without hate, or if somebody didn't, if there was no hate, then we would not be able to transform that into love,
Yeah, and the same
you
thing
know?
with
And also love going the other way. I mean, how many people say that they hate their ex-girlfriend and it's because they loved them so much and they broke their heart
yeah,
that now they hate them, you
yeah,
know? It's like hate comes from a place of love, just as, I mean, love blossoms from hate, like you just
yeah, yeah,
explained.
yeah.
So it's like, what's one without the other? That's what I think a lot about. I mean,
Mm.
what's negative without positive? What's hate without love?
Well,
You
think
know?
about, and I was just having this conversation too. Like, vulnerability is so hard, and I preach about it so much. Is the one thing I preach about a lot. But with vulnerability comes sadness, and without sadness, like because it's so hard for people to be vulnerable and it will make you sad. Sadness won't, it's not like, well, I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm not going to be sad. No, it probably will bring up some of your deepest, saddest emotion. But within sadness, you're able to really find the source of what the problem is and change it. To be vulnerable is to be sad, I think. I mean, the majority of the times that I've been vulnerable, I've been the most sad, even my experience in Peru. But after it, it's like it's such a release.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
Well,
another.
it's a release and it becomes a source of strength.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then what do you call that then? So the first time you're vulnerable, it caused sadness. But then the second time you're vulnerable about that same thing, it's more strength, isn't it?
yes. Still call it an uncomfortable situation, which is awesome because we should always intentionally become uncomfortable. So that's what it is for me now. It's vulnerability is stepping out of my comfort zone and becoming uncomfortable, but I know how powerful it is.
And putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
So, but vulnerability, I think there's times when it can cause sadness and then times when it can cause insight or inspiration or motivation,
for sure.
which in that there's a lot of happiness,
Mm-hmm.
like if you're getting uncomfortable on the other side. So when you're in the suck, in the uncomfortableness, is that where the sadness is? Or is it like and then when you come out of it, it's happiness? Because like maybe when you're working out and you're getting super uncomfortable, you know, then when you come out of it and you're like, damn, I freaking crushed that.
Hmm.
I'm
For
just working through this.
me
I'm not.
too. I like it. I like it. It's making me think because I talk about being vulnerable all the time. I think the sadness comes before because you have to talk about something that is tough for you to talk about. But once you finally speak it aloud, it's like, thank you. Like I
Mhm.
got it out. And it's still, that sadness still carries on throughout, but you know that it is brought into the light. So you know that it will change. Yeah.
So
The hardest part is taking that step when it's just dwelling inside of you.
so the getting uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean vulnerability, though.
No, no, not at
Okay.
all. Not at all.
Okay.
I'm just saying for me, it's not really sadness. It's just every time I'm vulnerable, it still is uncomfortable for me.
Okay. I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
Because vulnerability, though, why do you? Because vulnerability and trust are like a flywheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't have trust without being
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable without having trust.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when you're building trust with somebody and you're being vulnerable with them, I think that can come with I think it's just like putting yourself out there more or less. Like
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability is putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
And then when you make that connection between vulnerability and putting yourself out there and just being okay with it, you know, I just have a hard time seeing that as sadness, I guess. Or maybe at first, like we were talking about, maybe at first it's sadness. But then
yeah,
like the more you do it, the more you realize like how enlightening it is
for sure.
and how perception changing, awareness building.
I believe that the people who don't have the friends in their corner that allow them to be vulnerable are in a state of sadness where they
Mm,
because they know that they're pretending to be someone they're not. And for me to be surrounded, the people that I mean, all my friends that I surround myself with allows me to live accordingly to who I want to be, and they just accept it and they love that, which makes me even more comfortable to be vulnerable with those people. So I think
mm-hmm.
it, it's
I
it's
think what you just said is huge. The they're the people that they're surrounding themselves with are not allowing them to be vulnerable, and that's causing sadness. When you're
yeah.
not able to be vulnerable, that's where the sadness comes into play. And sadness over time might boil up into hate and boil up
Mm-hmm.
into anger.
Wow. Wow.
So I think that's huge, though, what you just said. Like when you're
Yeah, I
not
was
able to be vulnerable, that is where the sadness is.
because I was thinking through it, and I forget where in the Bible, but it just says it's like don't sit down and eat dinner with people who are saying like hateful things about what something or something along those lines, but pretty much means who you surround yourselves with will determine whether you grow in Christ or you don't. Pretty much, like it is a huge factor the people we surround ourselves with.
Mm-hmm. Damn, dude. At first, I was like, I mean, coming out on the other end of that conversation now with basically, yeah, who you surround yourself with is going to determine your growth or determine
Yeah,
your death. Like,
I agree.
you're either growing or you're dying.
I agree.
And so when it
I
comes to
agree.
that, if you're not able to express your thoughts, or you're not able to express you're not able to be vulnerable without being chastised for it or
Mm,
without being hated on
yeah.
for it, then yeah, I think that does cause a lot of sadness.
Well, and I feel like a lot of people haven't even tried, and that's scary in itself and sad in itself. It's like, how long are you gonna keep going and riding with these people and knowing that you should be saying this and should be releasing this, but you're not because you're so used to that group and you think that they're gonna have a negative reaction. That also is a determining factor that you're probably around the wrong people,
Hmm.
or they just haven't made you feel comfortable to share even a little bit of insight on your emotions.
Yeah, man. Also, though, like that's the importance of journaling.
Mm. Oh
So
yeah.
you can talk to yourself. I mean, you're at the end of the day, you're your biggest fan or your biggest critic.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, how are you talking to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And
Man.
just getting that down on paper and looking at it and being like, ew, this is gross. I would never be my own friend.
Yeah.
Or being
If
like, oh
someone
man, I love me.
dude, I've been having so many of those moments now. It's awesome. But like 6 months ago, if someone were to talk to me the way I was talking to myself, punch them in the face.
Hmm.
Walk with love. Beat
Yeah.
myself up.
I know when, like, after my dad died, I remember I would walk around the TCU campus and just type in my notes. And I wrote down the point of like clarity. I wrote down this paragraph or two paragraphs or three, whatever it was. I mean, it was like an hour walk, so I'm sure it was more than three paragraphs. But by the end of it, I reread it, and it was almost like I was giving myself a pep talk, you
Mm,
know? And that was kind of the changing point from like this state of grief and sadness and like how am I going to dig myself out of this, or how am I going to get out of this hole I just dug myself? And it was a moment or a point of awareness where I decided to put down the shovel and start climbing my way back out. And it was via that pep talk that I had written to myself. And you know how when you write to yourself, you're like, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing. And you use the I pronoun a lot.
Yeah.
Or you say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm thinking this way, I'm feeling this way, my actions are this way. Well, in that pep talk that I gave myself, everything was written in the you with the you pronoun. So I said, you need to do this, you need to do that, you have dug this hole for yourself and now it's your time to get out of there, you know? And that was one of the craziest experiences I've had because I always write with I. And then in that moment, for some reason in my brain, I decided to write with you. And when I reread it, it was like the best pep talk that I had ever written. Wow. For myself in that moment.
I'm just imagining.
So maybe I'm onto something there. Like if you're trying to get a grip on your thoughts, maybe you should be speaking in I. And then when you're trying to motivate yourself to do something,
be your own friend.
Speak with you. Speak as if you were talking to yourself, or like you were talking to somebody else. Who is yourself?
I'm down with that. I like that. You do this. You can do this. You have the ability to do this. You. I'm just imagining myself. I'm hyped up right now.
Yeah, but it could also be the other way around. When you say like you're a loser, you know, like being careful with that. Like when something happens and just like looking at yourself and be like, gosh, you're such a loser. Like when you say, or like people say this all the time, maybe not the loser, but a lot of people are be like, oh my gosh, you're so weird. Like you ever say that to yourself?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But that's not necessarily
a positive for me. Yeah,
I know, same. But like that's an instance where you say that. That's like your self-talk. So
that's funny. You said that. My pastor today, he delivered a message and he said that today too. It's like when you follow Jesus, people look at you weird because we are different. And it connected with me well because I love that word, just being weird. Your own type of weird.
I like what he said though. Weird doesn't mean bad. Weird is just different.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's just different, and different's okay.
Everyone's got their own little weirdness in the most positive way.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you got going on this week?
Let's see. This week, a lot of calls, getting my goals figured out. You know, we got Q4 coming up here of the year, and I mean, I was talking to my girlfriend about it, and she was telling me, you know, last quarter, best quarter, which made me think, of course, of last set, best set in the gym.
Heck yeah.
And then it made me think about how if you're really sold out on the process and you're really sold out on going one step at a time, then last set, best set isn't a thing. It's every set, best set.
For sure. Yeah, I've never said that.
So then it becomes this rep, you know, one. I mean, I always joke about in the gym, if we have a set of 5, it's not a set of 5, it's 1 rep 5 times.
I like that.
So I'll just count. I learned when I was over in Iceland, they had Slovenian people, Croatian, Icelandic.
Different languages.
So I learned how to say 1 in all 3 of those languages, including English. And then I was just yelling it when they were benching or when they're doing cleans or something. It was awesome.
Yeah, anytime that I would go into a set and my training partner wouldn't hear me, I'd be like, all right, we got 8. He'd be like, really? He said, what'd you say? I said, we got 8. He's like, now you got 12. So anytime I said a number, he would add like 4 extra reps on it. Like, kudos.
Yeah. So fourth quarter goals though, speaking of fourth quarter goals, you got any big goals that you want to get accomplished by December 31st?
I am getting baptized again. So excited about that. Yes, getting baptized. Thank you.
Almost congrats. We'll see. It's got to happen.
A week from today.
Cool.
week from today.
What gets scheduled gets done, man.
Exactly. And so all my goals, the more the more I've been stepping into this new life, honestly, the things that have just made everything fall into the place the way that I wanted to was just following God and praying more. So my goal is just to never lose faith in him and to always praise him even when I don't feel like it, because I there's a Bible verse that has just been constantly showing up in my life and on my phone, and it will be a reminder on my phone, and it'll pop up in the times where I need to hear it the most. And it's like I've always been in this state of rushing and thinking I need to set all these goals for myself and need to accomplish them now and now. And the more I read the Bible, he always led me to this verse that just said, "Be still and know that I'm God." So just like take a step back, keep following him and knowing that he has a plan for my life. And that has been the most powerful thing that's happened in my life and most helpful. I've never felt more fulfilled and more happy with where I'm at doing that.
Mm-hmm. So you have a goal of, I would call that more of that doesn't really have an end
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, for sure. Just constant faith my entire life.
So what's like an outcome goal you have?
Oh, I I wasn't gonna announce this, but I'll announce this now. Um, my number one goal is to. Now I don't have a girlfriend yet, but my number one goal is to not kiss nor have any sexual activity till I'm married.
Dang.
And I could still date the girl and build that relationship, but I'm getting baptized next week, and it is just I want to step into this new life and be absolutely pure until marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number one goal right now.
So what made you decide on this goal? Or
Dude,
what's your thought process here?
I am so in love with God and just what his heart is. And in the Bible, it says we have the mind of Christ. And I was just thinking, well, how do we truly think like he did when he was on earth and just have that faith? And one of the things was being pure and having a pure soul and a pure mind and thought, and being a guy 21 years old. And my past isn't the cleanest with those types of things, and with women and all those bad thoughts that we have. But you know, just these past 6 months I've had no lustful thoughts, and it has gotten me addicted to just my relationship with him. And that is something I prayed about, and it's something that he spoke into my heart. And then I was meeting with a pastor, and he told me a story that he knows a family that didn't kiss nor have any sexual activity till they got married. And he said that it was the most powerful wedding they've ever went to. Like as soon as they kissed, it felt like God just said an earthquake, and everyone was just like bawling their eyes out. Like you knew that God put all his love into that wedding, because he was just so proud that they were able to just have purified hearts and souls till that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that just became
How
so
come?
addicted to me.
Yeah. How come the word pure is used with like not kissing or having no sexual intercourse or anything like that?
That's just the word I'm using. Pure to me is like just like pure thoughts, pure heart, where it's just clean. It's just
Mm-hmm.
healthy. It's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I get that, and the reason I'm asking is like because if you're saying that that's healthy, then is not doing it unhealthy?
No, no, I don't think so at all. No, it's not unhealthy. I don't think. If the It depends on the intention, I think. If you truly love the person that you're with and you think you're gonna marry them, then I think that it is healthy, and um, I don't see anything wrong with that. But I want that connection with God to get even stronger, and I know that that would be part of the process into just feeling His love and His just feeling Him work in that process and that in that journey, and then knowing that once we do kiss, He's just gonna be like, "I'm proud of you. That's awesome."
So it's a way to kind of test yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Test me in my faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
that is like
I have a question also. Do you believe in marriage?
Yes. Yeah.
What's the reason you believe in marriage?
I believe in marriage if um the I'm trying to think. Um I believe in marriage because if the two people who are getting married are working together to glorify his name, then that's a marriage that I think is the most beautiful and where it is powerful and what he wants.
Hmm. What's can you be married without having a priest like say you're now married?
I don't know. Well, I would.
These are like
Yeah, yeah,
genuinely
yeah,
curious
yeah,
questions. I'm wondering.
yeah, yeah. Well, I would be married by my pastor, and I'm gonna be 100% vulnerable. I think there's a difference between a priest and a pastor.
Oh, well, I mean, I just meant like in the church.
Yeah,
Can you be married without the church?
I don't know, honestly.
I mean, because like you can be married by the state according to the law,
Yeah,
but is that different?
Hmm.
Questions.
Yeah. Questions. That's a good question,
We're gonna have, maybe we have to get a pastor on here one day.
dude. I know my.
We should definitely tag team the studio. Do you have only two mics or do you have three?
I have two, but they're so loud. I honestly don't even need. I don't even need to. Like I could have just put the one in the middle of the table and it would have been perfect.
Yeah, for
But
that actually probably be easiest too.
I was thinking if I were to have 3 or 4 people, I could put one where mine is now and do the same thing, just diagonal, and just have them hang over the table. It would honestly, they're so loud and they catch everything.
You know who you have to get at your studio as soon as possible?
Ooh,
D'Anthony.
I know,
We've been talking about him forever.
I know.
And he told me, I texted him or DM'd him on Instagram. He said he'd be down when he
Yeah, I
gets
know.
back from his trip, which he should. He's back now, so
Yeah, he's been. I know. I gotta drill into him for sure.
yeah. What else? Who else could we get on though? Besides,
I want to. There's a lot of people from my church that would just be awesome that have been through a lot of experiences that we can get deep in and just how their outcome and success stories. It's awesome. It's inspiring.
hmm yeah, I think I like how we're different, but we're both curious. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I think that that would be great for if we had somebody else on.
Well, I'm a huge believer in Christ, but I want to have non-believers on here and on my podcast and my episodes. Like I want to be able to connect in a loving way where we're both just going back and forth and digging deep on beliefs
Yeah.
and stuff. I love that.
hmm
And
Same.
I think it's important for people to see like this guy's a huge follower of Jesus, but is loving on someone who doesn't have the same beliefs. Like that is powerful for people to see.
hmm Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah. I keep thinking about like this podcast for me as well. Like I need to um I think maybe that'll be one of my goals for fourth quarter, like have at least one coach on the podcast each month.
that's
You know,
cool.
so three coaches release it like I release ours every Wednesday. So like next Wednesday, the one that we did, or no, this Wednesday. Yeah, like 3 days from now.
Yeah.
It's up right now, but I'm gonna like, start promoting it on
Hmm.
Wednesday. And then this one would come out 2 Wednesdays later. So maybe like on they'll be like me and you, coach, me and you, off. Same thing,
I like that.
you know? So again, consistency
I love that.
comes back to that. But so anything else, other outcome goal
Um, yeah, that's
that you want to accomplish in the next 3 months? Like,
I want to have a solid base for the or just have a how am I trying to say this? For the studio in my classes, I want to transfer the brand into that place in a healthy and inspiring way. I just don't want to be it have it and be such a cluster. Like I want to I want to have the programming down and a clean sign up sheet or sign in thing that people can do online. So just trying to figure those things out and get that rolling strong and not just have a huge cluster where people are just dropping in and trying to pay on the spot and then there's not enough room. Like I want to have a system that's pretty and perfect right away.
So create a system for your yoga classes.
Yeah.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
And one thing you need to do for that is create an online platform.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it through savasculpt.com?
I think so.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Just for people can sign up and I know who's taking class and stuff.
Where do you write down all your goals?
In
Do you
my
have like
journal.
but like what if you write down a goal like 3 pages ago and then, you do 3 more pages and then now you're on this page here.
The goals that I that are long term and things I want to accomplish in the future, I have a calendar in my room and I'll write them on there every month, just like the 5 on the bottom, just on a sheet of paper where I can see it every day. And if I write them at the bottom of the calendar, then that helps me the most because I just cross out the day and then look at the bottom and be like, oh, those are my goals. Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Do you have goals so those are your goals for like your career, or what are those 5 goals?
Um, the main 3 are spiritual that we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 2 are a good system for my classes and then just create and be consistent with the platform for the YouTube channel and podcast.
What's consistent mean?
Just posting a video, 2 videos. I want to try at least 1 or 2 videos a week if it's just me or someone on there.
You want to try?
I'm going to do. Dang it.
So you're gonna post 1 or 2? 1 to start.
Yeah. I already did 2, just because I'm getting excited and I want people to get excited. But I'm gonna start just doing 1 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And for me I need to once it starts blowing up, I want to start hiring people because it is for 1 video to edit and then do the podcast editing takes me a long time.
Yeah, man, it's not a joke at all.
It is a process.
That's why, I mean, YouTube is a little bit different. Like, you need to edit the videos so that they're enticing to watch, but at the same time, I mean, like Joe Rogan's just roll right through.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, no. And I love editing YouTube videos because I love music. So if I can just have a part where I'm hyped up, so that's the only really editing process that I have. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the video where I'm talking, I don't change that at all. But I do add in me going crazy and with the music and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, 1 a week. Yeah, what day?
That's another thing. I want to.
Got to play around with it.
Yeah, I want to talk to people who are actually staying consistent with it and see when people view it the most or when the insights are higher and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would talk to somebody about that. I have no idea about that stuff, but yeah. I know that when I go into YouTube and I click on my subscription thing, I see the little green dot next to it, and I go, oh, they got a new one out, and I check it.
Cool.
But if I don't see the green dot, I don't go check it, know? So it's more like I don't even really care when they put it out. It's like, but when they do, I'm looking at it. So that's cool. I don't know. That's me, though, personally.
What are your 4th quarter goals?
4th quarter goals are, I'm actually doing them today. So, because, I mean, October's right around the corner.
Yeah.
But it's I don't really know. I'm excited to see where my head goes. I definitely want to take my meditation to the next level. I think I can. I've been doing like about anywhere between like 15 and 30 minutes a day, but I would like to be a little bit more consistent with my morning meditation. Maybe like bump it up to 15 minutes. That to me seems like an insane jump. I mean, because I'm really good at doing 5. I do 10 when I feel like it,
Mm,
but like fully committing to 15 minutes every morning, I
cool.
think would be a big game changer.
That's legit. That's tough.
So we'll see.
That's
Today
awesome.
I did 10 minutes. Or no,
How'd it
no,
feel?
this morning I did 20 minutes.
How'd that feel?
It felt fine, actually.
Did you find points where you were losing track and you needed to snap out of it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, but that happens all the time.
for sure. For
It,
sure.
it definitely happened the latter half. I felt really focused the first probably 10 minutes, and then minutes like 10 to 15, I felt my brain go everywhere,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
everything got fuzzy, and it was just jumping from one thought to the next. And then I caught myself doing that, and I brought myself back to my breath and just started counting my breaths and finished strong.
I love that.
So I would say that that's one. Definitely getting on back into the weight room as well. I don't really have a goal for that yet. Maybe it'll just be more like lift 4 times per week,
I like
you
that.
know,
Do that for sure.
which will be a good goal. At the end of the week, I can say yes, I did. No, I didn't. Same thing with my nutrition, just dialing that in.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
but other than that, like work goals, career goals, just serving my clients right now at the highest level, and then getting on a better schedule with posting articles. So how you're going to do one YouTube video a week. Like I want to do one big article a month and then split it up into 3 mini articles.
Like a blog post?
Yes.
Cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, I ever since I picked up the consulting again this past month and a half, 2 months, that just fell to the wayside. So now
Yeah.
I'm looking to get back into it.
And are you gonna gear the blog posts on what you teach to your clients, or is it just gonna be sporadic?
On what I'm going to teach to my clients. So the one that I'm want to put out October 1st is going to be like leadership 101 basically. Then the next one's going to be basically confidence 101. The next one's going to be culture 101.
Good.
And so those are the three that I have for this next quarter.
That's good.
And yeah, it's going to be more based towards. I've also decided to really nail in my niche and just go all out on it. I've by aiming for everyone, you hit no one. So
Nice.
my goal is to just really focus in on baseball, softball, and basketball. And
I feel like I'm trying to aim at everyone. Well, actually, I don't. Not necessarily. I'm trying to aim at people. I just want to show. I'm not like I don't want targets. I just want to build a platform where it's inspiring for people, and whoever that reaches, it's great. If it reaches one person every month, I'm happy.
mhm. I
Just
mean, I think you could dive into that question a little bit more because
for
I
sure.
think you do have a niche. I think it's just
People who
finding it.
like, I don't know, a high energetic dude who just yells a lot.
I mean, I think you. So this is what here's a the hedgehog concept, and it's basically like what you're good at, what you can. Let me look it up. It's what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you love to do. So here's the things I'm good at. I didn't have to look it up.
I was gonna say, just a quick
It's like,
search.
okay, here's what you're good at, right? And you make a circle and you write everything you're good at in that circle. You make another circle that kind of overlaps that one, like a Venn diagram, and you say, what do you love to do? Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you love to do it.
Mm,
And then you say, what does the world need? And where those three intersect, where what you're good at, what you love to do, and what the world needs intersect, like that's you. That's what you need to talk about. That's your niche right there.
well, that's cool. I am very energetic and need God's love and need love. So,
I mean, you like to do yoga, you like to be active, you
yeah,
like to, I mean, there's a litany of things that you love to do
yeah,
and that you're
I
good
gotta,
at. So I
I
think
gotta,
that's something maybe you should look into. I don't know.
definitely.
But I
I
mean,
gotta,
I hear it all the time. Or like you see all the people that are out there that have hundreds of thousands of followers, right? They're
Mm,
good normally at something that they love to do and that the world needs. So figuring that out and going from there.
dang. I like that. I'm gonna have to get deep into that.
We'll see if that helps.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I
All right.
will talk to you soon.
Yeah, let's be juiced. Let's be great.
Let's be great.
See you, buddy.
See ya.